The Cheating Death Podcast is a comedy podcast and a random podcast that contains information, subject matter, language, course material, and opinions that you may not agree with. If you would like to comment, you may do so at thecheatingdeathpodcast@gmail.com. On today's episode of the Cheating Death Podcast, we dive into yet another egregious act by the Central Intelligence Agency in the 1950s. This time we travel to my paternal home, my fatherland of the German Democratic Republic. In 1953 and 1955, respectively, we provide you an all-new Annihilation Announcement, a new joke of the episode, and more. So grab yourself eine coffee, grab yourself a nice warm blanket, put your feet up, and let us tell you how you can cheat death. This is your news anchor, the Cleric of Chaos, and this is your Annihilation Announcement. The understanding that the German Democratic Republic was a communist nation is very widely understood at this point. However, what is constantly left on the booking room floor and on the editor's room rejection table is the fact that the German Democratic Republic was not designed and or created by choice. It was a division, a divisive tactic utilized by those in whom were successful in winning the war. Yes, was it an absolute understanding that this was a division between two ideologies? Yes, it absolutely was. It was West versus East, East versus West. People were no longer able to visit their families and truly understand what the ramifications of the actions of their leaders had wrought. Instead, everyone was left to fester and rot and fend for themselves in East Germany. Horrors that will never be forgotten. People that will be changed for generations. Do not underestimate the power of the will of the person with nothing to lose. This has been your news anchor, the Cleric of Chaos, and this has been your Annihilation Announcement. Willkommen, meine Freunde. Guten Morgen, guten Tage, eine gute Nacht. Ist deine Reisende, deine Ausländer, deine Allesfresser, deine Cleric of Chaos. The Office of Strategic Services operated in World War II from the time of 1939 through 1945. Upon departure from World War II, it was in the 1950s that the Office of Strategic Services was renamed to the Central Intelligence Agency. Headquartered in Quantico, Virginia, United States of America, the Central Intelligence Agency is internationally known for sticking their noses where it does not belong on an international scale, for jumping in and playing the "we can take it from here, boss" role in international affairs, especially in places and in times and in countries where they do not want anything to do with the CIA. Yet, Mr. Allen Dulles, the director of the CIA in 1953, made the ever so ridiculously absurd decision to interfere in Berlin's business. The 1940s were an obviously tumultuous time for many people across the world, as the slings and arrows of the mired beast of World War II were well on its way. The United States of America, of course, entering the war shortly after the bombing of Pearl Harbor in 1941. The affairs in which the Office of Strategic Services was specifically designed in order to ensure that the damage from international conduct would not be too severe. After the war saw its end in 1945, the Office of Strategic Services was restructured into the Central Intelligence Agency, now headquartered out of Quantico, Virginia. The director of the Central Intelligence Agency from 1982 all the way through 1961, Mr. Allen Dulles, the very first civilian director of the Central Intelligence Agency, who also happened to be a litigator, a lawyer, in whom felt it was the good decision to get involved in East German business. As the paternal side of my family and those close to us refer to it as the German Democratic Republic. A beautiful time for the people in whom were trying their best, but made no better than the meddling of affairs by not only their local governments, no, but absolutely every single Soviet member under the sun who wanted a piece of the German land. My homeland, Leipzig, was not free for years. Berlin, as most people are very well aware, was split, and the entire country was divided. It was not necessarily a complete separation of ideology. No, there was a lot of indoctrination, a lot of forced re-education as it pertained to the values and to the cultures of the German people post-World War II, for those in whom their only crime was waking up in the wrong city, having absolutely no idea what the extent of the damage that had been done by their predecessors. They were led astray into believing that this was the way. Mr. Allen Dulles and the Central Intelligence Agency in 1953 decided that communicating with the KGB and the Kremlin, as well as the Soviet command at the time, to attempt to discuss the possibilities of a unification of West and East Germany to bring the blockade to an end, as the 1948 and 1949 Berlin blockades taught them absolutely nothing in the Office of Strategic Services in the United States of America. No, before they got their shiny headquarters in Quantico, Virginia, the CIA was meddling in affairs all over the world, and specifically on the 17th of June, 1953, when East German workers had had enough. Wages were not even remotely close to what needed to be done to cover the soaring cost of expenses. People were losing their homes, their livelihoods, their savings, and their entire being, all in the course of a week's time. Prices, inflation, costs for absolutely everything were astronomical given the war and subsequent damage that was forced upon the German citizens. It wasn't enough that people were already at wit's end with believing that they were on the right side only to be proven incorrect. And of course, rightfully so when we take into account the Reichstag and everything else that took place in the confines of 1933 through 1945 through the previous administration. However, as soon as Germany turned over operation and control to the new leaders, it was made quite clear that it was to be no more, that this was not the way that the CIA should be interfering in international affairs. Absolutely not, for they took the situation of the labor dispute and of the riots and tuned it up to an astronomical degree by financially investing into the rebellion, making sure that those in whom were responsible for striking against the workers were capable of speaking out against them. They therefore once again were capable of bringing the citizens to their proverbial and sometimes literal knees. The CIA's involvement in the Berlin protests and the riots on the 17th of June 1953 was not the last time they would be involved in East German affairs, not by a long shot, for they would once again be involved in affairs within protests and riots in 1955, and they would also be involved with colluding and ensuring that the affairs of East Germany never got too far outside of the realm of what they could conceive that they could control under the guise of the arms race with the Soviet Union throughout the 1950s and the 1960s. Was the CIA correct in interfering in East German affairs on the 17th of June 1953? Was Allen Dulles the right choice to be the director of the CIA during such a tumultuous time? Give us your opinion. Email us at thecheatingdeathpodcast@gmail.com. At the top of the program, we promised you a list of our top 5 favorite proteins, and these will be both liquid as well as solid. So without further ado, let us dive in for some nutrition. Coming in at number 5, we have chickpeas. Coming in at number 4, we have 3.25% homogenized milk. Coming in at number 3, we have chocolate milk. Coming in at number 2, we have lean, boneless, skinless chicken breast. Coming in at number 1, we have tuna fish. What is your top 5 favorite proteins? Email us at thecheatingdeathpodcast@gmail.com. Today's joke is brought to you by the Cleric of Chaos. 6 men walk into a bar in East Germany after curfew. All 6 are arrested and go to jail for violating curfew. The Cheating Death Podcast has been brought to you by Nach dem Leben CRDVC, Chaos Realm Records, and CR Deutschland. If you would like to support the program, you may do so at the links in the episode's description. If you would like to follow friends and personnel of the program, you may also do so in the episodes in the links description. If you would like to email us, you may do so at thecheatingdeathpodcast@gmail.com or follow us at twitter.com/weallcheatdeath or twitter.com/clericofchaos. If you or anyone you know is experiencing psychiatric duress, please have them call 1-800-273-8255 or dial 988 from their mobile phone. If you are looking at adopting a playful puppy or a cute kitten, please visit your local animal adoption rescue center. And if you know anybody experiencing domestic violence, please have them call 1-800-799-7233. Life is hard. Holidays are coming, and you got the strength to pull it through. Remember, we're pulling for you. We're all in this together.